how money works is in the Epstein files. I can explain how money works. Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck. It's a bummer. It's a bummer to find out about that.
Even after the latest files were released earlier this month, we still only have a tiny fraction of the complete picture surrounding the life and crimes of alleged financier Jeffrey Epstein. But even with these little breadcrumbs, you have probably noticed that there are some deeply troubling connections being put together about a deeply troubling number of high-profile people, which does raise the obvious question. How did Epstein win so many friends and influence so many people? He wasn't born into great wealth or influence, but from the information we have been allowed to see, his business success was largely handed to him by figures and organizations that regular people wouldn't even be considered by. Like some kind of unholy Forrest Gump, he was seemingly always around some
Call of Duty microtransactions, Ponzi schemes in the 80s and 90s.
Some of the biggest names and events of the last 40 years with at least one finger in all of the wrong pies. If he was simply just intertwined with other elite financiers, then maybe this could all be written off as deep connections within his supposed professional industry. But we now know that his close personal contacts included basically everybody, from politicians to spiritual leaders, banking officials, European nobility, all the way down to Hollywood executives or the world's richest man, or the other world's richest man, or the other world's richest man.
Right.
These connections also extended across borders, political lines, professional backgrounds, and even public adversaries. If we wanted to be really pragmatic, it's probably worth actually learning from the
Would say it's not everybody. It's still like a very, very small group of elite weird. Like it's not like it's almost impossible not to be in there. It's like, no, a lot of people aren't. It's like you can add them all up, you know, it's like fucking
that these people help out and cover for one another as something we could apply to our careers and social lives. Just, well, you know, hopefully without the diddling.
Dude, wasn't there a woman that was saying, wait, if you're not in the files, you're a loser or something?
He knew everybody that was very powerful. So like if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like to be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right. So the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's...
That is such a fucking crazy take to make. In this moment, right now, knowing the anger people have, knowing what we're talking about, which is rape of children, and being like, if you're not in the files, you're a loser. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
It's any journalist that wrote about it.
That's an
His face.
astonishing attitude, isn't it? You're the loser because you're not in this. I find that jaw-dropping.
He knew every...
That's crazy, bro. That is fucking crazy. I just can't imagine saying that with a straight face. She frame mogged everyone in the room. There is no take that doesn't exist on the internet. That is a great point. That is proof that every take on every situation will be given, including the take that that you are a loser for not being in the Epstein files.
If it wasn't for all of that stuff, the depth and breadth of Epstein's professional network would be incredibly impressive, especially in an age.
I know he's getting to something, but that's also such a crazy. It's like, it wasn't for everything else. Hitler was, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you talking about?
Age where regular people have fewer friends and human connections than ever before. I mean, I don't know about you guys. After the age of 30, I personally have like 3.5 friends in total, and even keeping up with them takes some time management. All of this is especially eye-opening when you additionally consider that he...
Where's Big A on here? We're always chatting in the comments. I'm the bald guy. Finance guy. Am I bald? I'm dog. Why is this himself?
Time management. All of this is especially eye-opening when you additionally consider that he didn't exactly have a flawless reputation to begin with. These were supposedly some of the busiest, most time-poor individuals on the planet, and yet they all seem to have endless availability for social gatherings where, occasionally, Epstein may have been present. So the story goes. But perhaps the bigger question is, was such an extensive contact network of the world's most powerful people something exclusive to him because of his criminal operation, Or are interconnected networks like this just the standard operating procedure beyond a certain tax bracket? The answer may seem pretty obvious. It's a great big club and you ain't in it. But what kind of club was this exactly? And has it actually stopped operating? Oh, and I guess once we have gone through all of that,
Yeah,
I should
stop.
probably address the elephant in
It's
the room.
done.
Yes, I was named in the Epstein files, but more on that later.
Elon Musk, he said that he refused to go to the island, and then in these new files, it came out, I think it was an email that said, what day or night will be the wildest party on your island?
The latest Jeffrey Epstein file, one of them being
Oops.
Bill Gates. The documents allege new details of his ties to the
I never went to the island. I never met any women. From the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times.
Nothing came out about me other than it was a conspiracy against me.
Another shows this unidentified woman sitting on his lap. Clinton has denied any wrongdoing through a
What
spokesman.
is the live?
Okay, so
Clinton,
it may not surprise you that statistically the most surefire way
hearings.
to end up with an extensive contact network of rich and powerful people is to be born rich and powerful. Now, for what it's worth, Epstein did not have these advantages handed to him. He did grow up in a private gated community in New York, but this was back in the 1950s when homes were actually affordable for average people and
denied?
the area was broadly considered middle class.
It's too loud. Was the hearing denied? The public hearing, Clinton hearing? They asked for it to be public. I don't see any confirmation that it's denied. They asked for it to be public 5 days ago. I don't see any confirmation that it's denied. I hope it's public.
His mother was a teacher's aide and his father worked as a groundskeeper for the
He was a self-made pedophile.
city's Parks and Recreation Department. This legacy alone wasn't going to let him rub shoulders with the people who would eventually fill the pages of his
Jesus.
little black books. By most accounts and reports, he was an intelligent child who skipped grades and made money by tutoring other students, which eventually enabled him to attend NYU for mathematical physiology, an impressive and prestigious degree even back then, but he never graduated. Now, history is filled with highly influential college dropouts. In fact, a few of them will come up later in this very video. But in Epstein's case, he didn't produce anything of significance that would make him stand out from any other high-achieving dropout. So he didn't have any noteworthy family connections, and he didn't found some company off the bat that would propel him into the upper echelons of society, which means the only option left was for him to claw his way up the, old-fashioned way. One of the first big question marks over Epstein's early start was how he landed his first job at the Dalton School, a prestigious private high school, without any real credentials. Now, we have
He was a
already
high
made a
school
whole
teacher?
video
That's
on
good.
how he made his money, and this video will instead be about how he made his connections. So we won't be recounting his entire career again, but this first step was really quite important for both parts of his story. It's really the first time he came into indirect contact with anybody of historic importance. The headmaster of the school shortly before he started was infamously Donald Barr, a man who, just a few years earlier during World War II, had served as an officer for the Office of Strategic Services, the predecessor to the CIA.
Okay.
A not-so-fun fact is that Barr also published a sci-fi novel called Space Relations, which is about a planet ruled over by oligarchs who engage in basically all of the crimes that Epstein would later
Jesus
be convicted
Christ.
of. This kind of foreshadowing would be panned for hacky writing, if it weren't the actual world we are living in. Donald Barr was also the father of Bill Barr, who would later go on to serve as the Attorney General under both the Bush and first Trump administration.
Right.
A lot of people start drawing lines from here on, for pretty obvious reasons. But to be fair, this connection is not particularly strong. Donald Barr was the headmaster of Dalton, but he had left the school 3 months before Epstein started working there, and there is no concrete evidence that he had any input on hiring a single math teacher. What we do know, though, is that during his brief stint as an educator, Epstein went to great lengths to ingratiate himself with the parents of the high society students he was teaching. One of those students, Lynn Copel, later said in an interview that Epstein convinced another parent to advocate for him to her father, Alan Greenberg, who was at the time the CEO of Bear Stearns.
Okay.
I have personally never been to a parent-teacher interview that turned into a job interview, but somehow it worked.
Bill Barr lost my respect when he did that comedy show. +2. +2, dude. Very nice. Very fucking nice.
Which is how he eventually went to land a job at the prestigious financial firm after being fired from Dalton. The point
got
here
fired.
is that even back in his early 20s, with not a lot going for him, he was kind of shameless in using whatever connection he had and squeezing the most he could out of them. Working at Bear Stearns did lend him
got
some
fired as a high
credibility
school
in
teacher.
high-profile clients. And at the same time, it rewarded him for reaching out and trying to make friends wherever he could. Back in the 70s, entertaining banking clients and showing them a good time and whatever it entailed was just part of the job. Now, in a vacuum, this would all make sense. An ambitious financier wanting to develop professional friendships with wealthy clients that could send business his way.
I feel like a guy that looks like Jeff Epstein in the 70s, you just couldn't help but fail upwards in America. I think 70s boomer Jeff Epstein looking guy, the stories almost doesn't matter at the beginning. Everything's
his
gonna
crimes. It's
up and to the
basically
right.
professional networking 101. But, well, none of this happened in isolation. And this certainly doesn't explain how he ended up involved with geopolitical scandals, foreign spiritual leaders, nouveau academics, or the birth of modern surveillance systems. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how Jeffrey Epstein won so many friends and influenced so many pedophiles. A lot of what we talk about on this channel is really just learning how the world works, spotting the patterns underneath the headlines, incentives, feedback loops, and especially the stuff that compounds over time. That's why I've been using Brilliant lately,
Check out
and
Brilliant!
they're sponsoring everything on Brilliant. The extent of Epstein's connections to powerful people in unusual places and under unusual circumstances makes it really easy for any kind of reporting to veer quickly into outright conspiracy theory. We still simply do not know the details of something like the inner workings of the Iran-Contra affair, the nature of the man's meetings with various heads of state, and even, for that matter, how he even made most of his money. The line between extrapolating on incomplete information and constructing outright conspiracy theories is very hard to navigate.
That's like the main
And this is
source
made
of
a
his
lot
money
harder by the fact that, well, we still have woefully incomplete information. Theories surrounding Epstein, like the idea that he was
Reid Hoffman and Elon are fighting. They just keep going back and forth, calling each other a bigger pedophile. Reid Hoffman and Elon are just two billionaires who are both in the Epstein files, who keep pulling the files that they're not in and being like, look, you're in the files, you fucking pedo. And then they go back and they're both in it. It's crazy.
The compromat gathering intelligence asset do kind of fit into place with the information we have, but we just don't have that much information. Now, it's important to remember this for two reasons. The first is that it relates a lot to how he collected all of his contacts. A lot of it seemingly wasn't that unusual. In his early career, the extensive networking he did was largely—
I can't believe nobody has, if I go down, we all go down together, the files yet. There was somebody. His name was Jeffrey Epstein. Look what happened to him. The person who tried to do that mysteriously died.
Indistinguishable from what any career-driven financier might do. For what it's worth—
I guess Bill Clinton's trying to do it, and that's why suddenly his hearing is stalling. And Trump's out there being like, I like Bill Clinton. He's actually, we shouldn't be too hard on him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
most accounts from people who aren't trying to actively distance themselves from the man, he had strong interpersonal skills and was very good at making people feel important. As his network of contacts grew, he was clever to somewhat diversify his portfolio of friends instead of staying strictly within the ecosystem of financial service providers and the people who were after their services. He networked extensively outside of that bubble as well. Now, this later served him well in his criminal operations, but it also just made him the guy who knows a guy. In total, so far, we know of 107,000 interactions between 19,000 people named in the files with Epstein at the center. This is thanks to the team who has put together the Epstein network visualization, which I will leave a link to in the description. He could connect academics who had a lot of prestige but no money to people with a lot of money who wanted to buy prestige. He could talk to his overseas friends about entering a new market. A lot of it was just being able to name drop to impress other people who he would also pull into his orbit.
I'm obviously not calling Ludwig a pedophile, but he has this skill as well. This is like Ludwig in streaming is all. You know what I'm saying? Is he's like a connector. He knows everyone from all these different groups. I'm obviously, there's no connection between what Jeffrey Epstein would later do. I'm just saying that is a fact about his connective networks.
According to Michael Wolff, a journalist and media consultant who worked closely with Epstein in the early 2000s.
You sure know how to praise. Such a fun way to praise someone. You have a lot of the good parts of Jeffrey Epstein.
The man frequently attended TED conferences to connect with speakers with interesting ideas that he could later host at events for his wealthy friends. So, you know, if you thought TED Talks couldn't get any more insufferable, here we are.
Damn, that suit, though.
He really did treat networking like a
He got
full-time
that
job.
shit on.
And being the guy that could connect anybody with anybody, unfortunately,
Crazy.
eventually extended to connecting perverted people with their victims. This network of contacts also compounded on itself over time as he himself grew more notoriety in those circles and attained more wealth to fund a comparable lifestyle. The Billionaire social calendar is a well-documented series of events around the world throughout the year that a few hundred high-profile individuals almost nomadically work their way through. People overwhelmingly interact with other people from their own social class. And the problem is that these people are so wealthy that there are only a few hundred people worldwide that they can properly really relate to. So they travel between these events because
that's what I'm saying. Like, listen, that's what I'm saying. I don't like the idea that like you're a loser if you weren't in the files, or it's like everyone was in it. Because if someone as villainously billionaire evil as Jeff Bezos is not in the files, then you can find a way to not be in the files. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Bezos is not in there. Bob Iger's not in there. If you're in there, you specifically wanted to hang out with Jeffrey fucking Epstein on his island. It's not like, oh my God, we're in these circles and you know what it's like, that excuse does not fly.
People worldwide that they can properly really relate to. So they travel between these events because they know similar people will be there. Wendover did a great video on the logistics of all of this because of course he did. It's really interesting and I will leave a link to it below. But the point as it relates to Epstein's network is that there are only a few thousand people worldwide operating at this level. The reason it seems like he knew everybody was because there really wasn't that many people to know. After his 2008 conviction, this did take a bit of a beating, and people understandably did not want to be associated with someone in the news for his crimes. But according to reports, he was able to build this network back up by leveraging other people that could vouch for him being a changed man. Outside of the heinous crimes, which are clearly front and center, something else that is angering people as they sort through these files is how clear it is that this is a small group that looks after each other. When
I was literally gonna say Steve Bannon, because like the core of the files, the person who is most like, let's get you back on your feet, Jeffrey Epstein, it's Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is like the number one guy who's like, we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that you are yeah, I don't know. It's Steve Bannon should like, it's crazy he's just going about his day. Steve Bannon is like one of the most guilty looking people in the files.
Like Steve Bannon and Noam Chomsky are just 1 degree of separation apart. It is a pretty clear demonstration that for extremely elite people, they can disagree about fundamental political differences the same way regular people might disagree about different sports teams.
We're anti-male
no matter
bonding.
which side wins, it won't really affect them, and everybody is just there to have a good time. Now, to you personally, this may have already been pretty clear, but the public attention these crimes are bringing is also shining a light on this aspect of these relationships as well. Now, the final aspect that we can discern from the information that we actually have available is that Epstein was terminally online. Even from the small slice of the file.
Oh, now you guys are in the files as well. Interesting. Interesting. Everyone's got something.
That we have available, this man received tens of thousands of messages and responded to most of them in a relatively timely manner. From the thousands of emails the team and I have personally poured through, the somewhat unsatisfying and also kind of sad reality amongst all of this was that Epstein was just really popular amongst these people.
Was this Lemonade Stand or something? Someone was praising Epstein for his inbox zero. Was that LS Patreon or something? Who was like, it was like, it's crazy how he's so fast at responding to all these emails. It's insane. Wasn't it you? No, I might have been Doug. I think I pointed it out. I was laughing at it. It's crazy. How many emails I got unanswered? Let me find out right now. Where do you see it? 18,260. Beast.
Because he was a perceived peer that would actually talk to them like a normal person. Without going full armchair psychologist, a majority of the communications that the public have actually been given access to concern mundane things like business ideas, lame jokes, and introductions. For Epstein himself, he was able to leverage some of these social connections with the help of an undisclosed amount of blackmail into business opportunities that would in turn fund his lifestyle, which would in turn enable him to interact with a wider network of wealthy and influential people. As we covered in our previous video, a majority of Epstein's wealth came from exorbitant fees paid to him by a small number of people who, for some reason, wanted him to manage their money over the more traditional financial options. Now, the obvious side effect of all of this is that there will probably be a good number of people in this extended network that were not involved in his criminal conspiracy. And that is what a lot of people are going to great lengths to point out. But that itself does raise a much bigger question, which is best demonstrated by looking.
I understand that there are some people on the fringes of this who didn't know everything and are involved, but it's like, it's just so funny for someone like Bill Clinton is like, yeah, there's a photo of you with the young girl on Epstein's plane going to the island. It's like, do we really need, you know what I'm saying? Smoke and fire? Like, it's just like, come on. It's not all.
But that itself does raise a much bigger question, which is best demonstrated by looking at this email here. Yes, there I am, named in the Epstein files. Looks pretty bad, right? Well, yeah, without some extra context to fill in the blanks, it absolutely does. But by unredacting what we can, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is just an email chain between Epstein and an unidentified sender talking about working as a producer in the movie industry. One of the most important components of that business is apparently learning how money works. So, well, I guess I might need to rethink this channel's tagline. Oh, and one other thing that I have to...
It's like saying I have a great idea for the next Harry Potter. A million people a year say that. The first step is learning to read and write. This is the worst advice ever, bro.
Point out, which is not really important in the grand
like
scheme
so
of things,
basic.
but within this same email, he also said that the first step before learning how money works was learning to read and write. Now, after the team and I have collectively spent hundreds of hours combing through this guy's emails,
The equal sign is because they imported this shit into like Excel or something and then exported it into PDF and it created these. The equal sign is not what he actually typed, but the other stuff is.
Now, after the team and I have collectively spent hundreds of hours combing through this guy's emails, this really stood out because half of his messages literally look as if he face-rolled his keyboard and pressed send. Both himself and the highly influential people he was communicating with sent emails that could only be described as borderline illiterate. Anyways, yes, this particular email is clearly just a silly example. But the point is, without the additional context, it would be really easy to spin a story that looked really bad here. Which raises the obvious question. Why aren't people who are actually mentioned tangentially in these files begging for more information to be put out to clear their name and clarify the extent of their involvement? The simple answer is, of course, that some of these people are guilty of heinous crimes and would prefer for their waters to stay muddy. But for everybody else, it really could be as simple as not wanting to rat out their friends, contacts, and clients. As demonstrated by these very documents, this is a small club that can provide prestige, lucrative opportunities, and well, anything else that they might want. To a lot of these people, staying on the inside is simply more important than justice. Now, obviously, if and when more information is released, this story could change significantly. But if you want a clear demonstration of just how valuable these contacts were, go and watch this video next to find out how the man himself actually got so rich in the first place with very little in the way of real credentials. And don't forget to like and subscribe to keep on learning how...
Okay. That's great and all, but have you seen the Dow lately? Down, bro. It's down. We have to investigate while it's down. I, for one, think Epstein is innocent, sent from my iPad. I mean, rich, powerful boomers do type like shit, but they don't have the exclamation point or the equal sign.